It turns out, American movies in the 90s were pretty goofy. Sure, there were a lot of great crime films and beautiful art house films too, but filling in the gaps were these goofball icons. On our mysterious founders list is an attempt at horror, a mainstream teen movie from an underground icon, and an all-star comedy, a cult kids film, and a seriously inappropriate Frankenstein ripoff you don't want to miss. Wolf. Technically, this 1994 film from Mike Nichols is meant to be a serious commercial horror movie. He's not a goofball director. He's best known for dramas like The Graduate. And sure, some people might find it scary, but we disagree. Jack Nicholson can play just about anything, but it turns out he doesn't really suit the werewolf genre. Nicholson stalking a deer through the forest might be one of the funniest things you've ever seen. This film also features appearances by Michelle Pfeiffer, James Spader, Christopher Plummer, and David Hyde Pierce, as well as a score by the great Ennio Morricone. And keep a lookout for great production design by Bo Welch, who puts wolves wherever you look. None of these elements save the horror though. Screenwriter Jim Harrison would agree. He abandoned the project and left Hollywood after this movie, saying, "He took my wolf and made it into a chihuahua." And this sums up this movie better than anyone else could.
It is Mexican Independence Day.
Crybaby. John Waters made his name in the 70s with seriously transgressive cult films, becoming known as the Pope of Trash. But if you were traumatized by those films, you'll be surprised by how approachable Crybaby is. This romantic comedy musical from the 90s is all about teen culture in the 1950s. It stars Amy Locklane as a real square who falls for the bad boy greaser played by young Johnny Depp. This crappy rock and roll romp is guaranteed to charm anyone with a rebel spirit. Death Becomes Her. This 1992 horror comedy is about to get a Broadway musical makeover, but before you see that, you better watch the original film. The director, Robert Zemeckis, really knows how to prove a crowd. He has more beloved films with his name on the director credit than most people could dream of. Back to the Future, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Forrest Gump are all his. But in all those big names means Death Becomes Her can disappear in the crowd. It has an all-star cast, featuring Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn, and Isabella Rossellini. Streep and Hawn play two women fighting over Willis, who both get their hands on a magical potion that is meant to give them eternal youth. Only, it doesn't work quite as well as they had hoped. It's hilarious, brilliantly performed, and features pioneering CGI effects that won an Academy Award, which is a pretty big honor for such a goofy film.
It's a miracle!
Drop Dead Fred. Is Drop Dead Fred a good film? No. But there's no doubt this silly 1991 movie has a cult following, and that doesn't happen for no reason. In this case, that reason is British comedy legend Rick Mayall. He plays the title character, a long-forgotten imaginary friend of Elizabeth, played by 90s star Phoebe Cates. Elizabeth stumbles through a series of personal tragedies and returns home to recover. There, she accidentally opens the door and lets Drop Dead Fred back into her life. Mayall and the producers had some disagreements about his performance, and the restrictions placed on him show. But this film seems to connect with the inner child in some audiences, and there's no shortage of people who will tell you this seriously silly comedy has them crying like a baby by the end of it. Why? We may not know, but maybe it's not important. Frankenhooker. Unlike the last film, this one is definitely not for kids. This very black comedy horror from exploitation maestro Frank Henenlotter is exactly what you're hoping it will be. It all starts out with an amateur doctor, Jeff Franken, accidentally dismembers his girlfriend with a lawnmower at her dad's birthday party. He decides to rebuild and resurrect her, using her head, but he needs to replace her body, so he hits the late-night streets of New York, but things really don't go to plan. This wild take on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is subversive, dark, hilarious, and seriously goofy, and even stars genuine penthouse pet, Patty Mullen, as the creature. It may not be as perfect as Hen Lotter's masterpiece, Basket Case, but we guarantee it'll keep you entertained. Tell us what you think of these, and leave your favorite goofy 90s film in the comments. Want more to watch? Don't miss this video.
He does.
I don't.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
I don't.
You don't.
I do.
You don't.
I do.
You don't.
Listen, when I say I do, that's